What's going on, TAP? That's right. It's your boy Play B, chilling. Got my boy Rev with me. What's going on, Rev?
We got Ariel back again, another week.
Yeah.
It's still the day after Thanksgiving.
Everybody knows what's up.
Oh, man. So we got Ariel again all the way from San Jose, California.
Nice.
Originally from Hayward. We talked to her a little bit about her understanding and what she's seeing in the medical field about the coronavirus. Another thing that's closely tied to that in our recent climate is politics.
Oh, boy.
Especially after our recent election and the current court battles that Donald Trump is waging to try to take back that presidency or whatever.
I don't know. It doesn't seem like it's going well for Trump, though. Honestly,
but there's still a chance. Is that what some people are saying? Right, Theo?
know.
Right, we got Theo right here in the back.
Theo Trump right here.
So Ariel, how are you doing again?
Hey, doing good. Just living life.
So, in light of everything that has happened, considering the coronavirus and how it's been handled and the presidential election, all of our local election, and just the chasm that there exists now between Democrat, Republican, conservative, liberal. Well, I wouldn't say liberal, conservative and leftist. Let's say that.
Right.
So, I don't want to ask how you voted, but what were your thoughts going into, let's start from the top, the presidential side, like looking at, and not just Biden and Trump, there was Joe Jorgensen for the Libertarians. I don't know who ran as the Green Party this time, but what were you seeing in the midst of all that craziness?
So I think when it comes down to it is like, yes, I am registered Democrat, been since 2008.
I like the show's over. Bye. No, I'm just kidding.
Like, sorry.
No, just play.
Although I know that being a Democrat, being a Biden voter, not supporter, does come with its like, ugh. But I just personally, I couldn't align my my vote. I wouldn't even say beliefs because I think that's stupid. I couldn't align my vote with going for Trump. That's just not my, it really wasn't the thing for me. I mean, I am a gay woman living in the Bay Area. I have many things that aren't the normal American standard.
Right.
And I'm okay with. So as for myself, I am okay with how I voted. Do I like Biden? No, he sucks.
Yeah.
Do I like Trump? No, I spent 4 years with the man, so I could say that it's okay. I'm good with it. And really, what goes to show is that, especially with this whole COVID thing, Trump really had a great thing going for him because of his financial background, his investments, and he's in court now. But he was a successful man. I mean, the first time I seen this man was in Home Alone, and I was like, "Wow, that's
people
rich."
forget about that.
I didn't even know who he was in Home Alone. I was like, who's that?
He's all pointing to his over there guy, kid.
Yeah, it's like kind of no. Let's back up with that because I remember I recently watched Home Alone and I had completely forgot that he was in it.
Yeah, but back then, we didn't know.
Back then, I didn't know who he was. It's like, they gave this guy the little. I mean, how many 9 and 10-year-olds watched that movie? Didn't know who the heck he was.
Right.
Back in '93, nobody knew.
Yeah.
I mean, very few people knew who he was. It was just like whatever.
I just thought he was like a filler. I didn't know who he was.
I didn't even know. I mean,
and how did he even get in there? We must have just like legitimately been walking by and they're like, "Hey, you want to get in the movie, bro?" Real quick? Yeah.
If you look at the '90s, he did a lot of cameos.
No, he did. But nobody
did a commercial. Didn't he do a pizza commercial?
I was like,
wasn't it Little Caesars or something? I can't remember.
I don't remember.
I think it was Little Caesars.
Yeah.
Little Caesars. Something like that.
I'm like, I didn't even want pizza after watching it. I'm like, what the heck? So it had the opposite effect.
I want to. We don't have a whole lot of time, so I want to dissect a couple.
You know
of
what?
things
I didn't even hit record, but you got it over there, right?
Yeah, I have it over here.
Okay, dang it. I'll start here.
I didn't mess up this week.
See? Oh man, I can't believe I did that.
I've been the one messing up for the last 2 weeks or last two interviews.
That's my bad. I'm starting now.
I'm just gloating.
Well, good thing you said something because I looked for the timer.
It's all that food.
I know. I saw that.
I looked at the timer. I'm like, there's no timer. Oh crap! Big green button is supposed to be red. Like, man,
it's okay. We're gonna leave all that in. So, anyways, a couple of things that you say. You're a Democrat, and I know part of the reason why is because a lot of people, because I don't know where you fall into this, but I know a lot of people's thinking is that if you're a certain race or a certain demographic, you automatically should fit into a certain democratic system. For me, when I was in the 90s, I didn't like the Republican Party. I was more Democrat leaning because they were the party for the people. They were the party of freedom of speech, freedom of expression.
Yeah.
But now
they were.
Now they're not.
Yeah.
They want to shut people down. They want to cancel everybody. They don't want people to speak their mind. They want to push an agenda. So it's just like there's no way that I could be a part of that now. Now I've always been an independent. I've never registered necessarily for a political party because I never felt like I don't believe in the two-party system. So I didn't want to be a part of it.
I don't either.
And that's why I registered as a libertarian in the last 2 presidential elections prior to this one, because I wanted a third choice. I wanted more than 3 choices. There should be a limit. There should be more than just what we have. But
yes.
But I understand as you being a part of the LGBT community. LGBT, is there more? I don't want to.
There's a lot of letters, but you could go just LGBT.
Yeah, I don't know.
So, and like I said, and I've always agreed with that, with the, people that want to live that way of life, being able to marry who you want. I've always agreed with those principles, right. Especially when it's outside the church, there's always that difference. Like people that want to live, whatever. But now I just can't bring myself to this idea where I was like, okay, I'm a Latino, but I'm not going to just fall in line and back a candidate. Now, granted, in the beginning, I didn't support Trump. In the beginning, I didn't vote for Trump.
Right.
But I really saw that actually he was the president that I'm more aligned with because he was not a part of the political establishment. So in all reality, that's one of the reasons why I went with him, because he was pushing the boundaries that nobody was pushing before, shaking the tree, trying to get everything knocked out. In my mind, and I do believe this, and I'm probably going to get censored, whatever, but I do believe that this election was stolen. And now I'll just say that. I'll go out on a limb and say that.
Yeah. It's kind of obvious, though, in a way. If you just take a step back.
Everyone's laughing at me.
If you just take a step back, though, and look at all the support that Trump had. I mean, especially from all communities.
Well, no, picture this. Wait, no, picture this.
And it's like, yo.
Biden got more votes than Obama did. That does not make sense. How does Obama only get like 69,000 and Biden get a million?
Then a lot of people,
you think that's what it is?
Numbers were very low in 2008, mind you, and also in 2016 when the Hillarys and all that bull crap that happened, right? Mm-hmm. But I think a lot of people, and I don't know what shifted for people. A lot of people have like very strong opinions when it comes to the current president.
Yeah, Trump.
I'm not a person. I'm not a person.
I think because we're told to think a certain way.
I just, when it comes down to it, for me, my mom is really the person that like really encouraged me to vote when I was a kid, and she was the person that was like, you fight for your rights. She's always been this type of person, and very like taking me with her while she went to go vote and showing me like it's important to vote.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Stuff. And so like she grew up that 90s mentality, freedom of speech and all this stuff. And so when I registered to vote, I was only 18. I didn't know anything. And I wanted to vote for Obama, the first black man, because Tupac said he didn't see it yet. I was very,
Yeah, and I was on board with that too. I really resonated with that, and I was supportive of Obama during all that.
Yes,
but it's just like,
and he was good. He made bad choices. He made good choices, and he tried. But I mean, for being a person that is the first,
I'm starting to hear a double
color,
standard here, though. He tried, like Trump didn't.
He tried. Well, I think Trump tried, but I don't think I think he could fight for what, like, because he does push boundaries. I think when it comes down to it, as far as the pandemic happened back in March when everybody was locking down, since then, there's been many other countries around the world that are like great leaders and have good economies, like America should have been, and taking care of their people. So I think for like, at first I was totally like, okay, yeah, like it's not like Trump saw this happening. He had a great trajectory as far as to be a successful president to happen.
Yeah. And
then a pandemic happens and he's like, well, I kind of don't give a fuck either. Like there wasn't really a do for the people. And as much as like, I fortunately work in the medical field, so I have a guaranteed job. Not everybody does. And seeing so many people get laid off, or so many people that work with the community that has been affected by COVID, crazy. You know, I look at those people who maybe at one point were Trump supporters and were hoping that our president's going to come through for us, and he didn't, you know, and a lot of people just didn't get what they wanted.
When you say,
and there was a shift.
When you say he didn't come through, what exactly do you mean?
I think people were looking for more of a financial relief fund, and which I get. It's not my situation per se, because like that's.
Well, you know, the way I see it, when you were talking about the shutdown and people getting laid off, because I'm laid off currently.
Yeah.
That wasn't Trump laying me off. That was the state of California saying y'all can't work because your counties have to approve a certain amount of hours. You can, like for me, each trade had to be approved by each individual county, which was a Democratic leader that put those things in there. You know, so that's why I'm saying it's not kind of fair for you to say that Trump.
No, I agree with your.
You know, because it wasn't. It was the Democratic Party here in California that did that.
So really quick, it's like there's a lot of anomalies that have happened in this recent election, and you're talking about registered voter increase in this. Yes, Trump is a very divisive figure for a lot of different reasons, and for my man, it's like I like the division that has happened, but I like the fact that he's shaking norms because the political establishment and all that kind of crazy things. But for me, when you look at the support that he got, now here's what the media hasn't been reported on, that Trump's Hispanic support grew exponentially since 2016, and he actually got the most Latino votes since Ronald Reagan, when Ronald Reagan swept the presidency when he ran. So another anomaly is when you're talking about registered voters. I'm still trying to. Maybe I'm not understanding it, but how do some areas register over 100% votes if 112 people? Because if you're going by whoever voted, there's a cap, 100%. 100% of registered voters voted. Right. You can't have 112% of registered voters voted. It's like, wait a minute here.
Hey, there's a remainder.
Wait a minute. That doesn't make sense. There's a lot of anomalies.
It's the virus, bro.
Well, and that played
Everybody's
a big part
getting crazy.
Too.
Everybody's crazy. That's what I keep.
I don't believe that Trump would have lost his election based on what we're seeing, especially when you're looking at some of the anomalies, like how in the night of the election, as soon as everything got shut down and there were all the states that were not going to count anymore, Biden jumped up all of a sudden overnight.
Yeah. So being a person that voted for Biden, I totally was surprised by how this election panned out.
it's not over.
I'm surprised anybody would want him in there. He don't even know where he's at half the time.
I'm just not on board with Trump, and that's okay.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. Yeah.
But that's why I don't call myself a Biden supporter. I call myself a Biden voter.
Right.
Because that's just where I landed.
Yeah.
Whether or not Trump became president again for a second term, I don't think there's going to be a significant amount of change. I think it was just everything's going to roll with the punches. And even if Biden becomes, he's president-elect, I don't think there's going to be, not going to see.
I don't think he's even going to be the president. I think Kamala Harris is going to be running.
It's not official yet.
No, but I think even if it's officially called and he becomes the president, officially, I don't think he's going to be the one calling all the shots. I think it's going to be his VP behind the scenes whispering in his ear.
Well, really quick, it's like,
which is sad. Who would want that?
Some of the things that I appreciated about Trump is that his which rubs a lot of people the wrong way. His America First approach, bringing home the troops, reducing our numbers overseas, bringing them home, not involving.
I like those things that he did. I like that, especially when it came to cutting foreign in manufacturing,
bringing
honestly,
it home.
Yeah,
it was great that was happening. If someone went in that same direction, like America First, I think there would still be rough years that would happen in the transition point. And eventually you do have to think about the bigger things, healthcare, minimum wage, cost of living.
I agree. No, I agree with you that, but all that stuff doesn't get fixed on the national level. That happens at the local level. And
Yes.
California
And that's
is
where I
a
have
terrible
my-
place to live because if you, and this is why I can't call, I would never, and I can't call myself a Democrat because when you look at like you can't everybody's fleeing California and where are they going? Texas.
Free
where are they
states.
going? Arizona, red states. Where are they going?
Yeah.
Tennessee. Because
Yes.
it's just the way that California is ran. So I'm like the problem necessarily isn't Trump. A lot of people want to throw all
It's
these.
not though. That's what it comes down to.
Yeah.
Is
Right.
he is going to get the brunt of the whole like generalizing of it, but California is a shit show.
It really is.
It really is. Like
With Grissom
when it
Newsom.
comes down to it, our governor, it was great that he was going to be the governor. Like, okay, fine, do some shit, whatever. But the fact
That's
that
literally
he
all
didn't
he's
do
done, huh?
anything,
Yeah.
it's just like it's so crazy because it's like those are prime examples of hypocritical
Yeah.
leaders.
Yeah.
And whether it's on the state level or the federal level, we see it constantly because it goes back to, we're going to do what people do and not what they say.
Yeah.
Because what you're saying doesn't line up with what you're doing.
Yeah.
And obviously you're fine. So why am I going to listen to you? And it becomes that I don't give a fuck mentality, which ends up like not being well thought out choices for people.
Yeah.
So when it comes to voting, I did vote for Biden, and that was my choice, and it was more of a I just couldn't align myself with what
Yeah.
as far as financial stuff and the bringing home, putting America first. I get that. That's cool. I think that's great because I think that was going to help our financial situation as a country.
Right.
But as far as like morality, like for human beings, it was a deal breaker for me. And it doesn't, and I'm not saying that like, oh, well, Biden was better because he's just really not. And that's what a lot of circles that I'm in as far as is like, it was like vote Biden sucks, and it wasn't like,
Yeah.
There's
it
honesty
just really
in that,
came
yeah.
down to
Yeah.
what is different.
For me, for me, it was this way. It was having to choose between the best or the lesser of two evils.
Yeah, two
Yeah.
evils.
And so what I did,
Yeah.
and part of my decision came down to looking at my state that I live in, California, and looking at other quote unquote free states. And I started to wonder, why are these other Republican states thriving and you see all these Democratic states failing
And people fleeing.
Yes.
and people leaving? Do I want someone, now I'm sure it could happen to any party, but do I want a Democrat in office if they can't even control a state? If they can't take, and they're supposed to do something for the whole country, that's bullshit,
Yeah.
And that to me was one of the defining
Yeah.
factors for me. If you just sat, like for me, if I told myself, look, Jose, just sit down and think about it, and I'm like, fuck, this just makes sense. Why would if the Democrats can't even control states, how are they gonna control a country? And how are they gonna make
I
a
honestly
country
think it goes down
prosperous?
to that's what I honestly think this is the real thing, is that yes, it's great that all these people registered and voted for whatever
Yeah.
in presidential. It's very important for people to understand to vote for their city stuff.
Yeah.
For like to pay attention there.
Yes.
To like just with your own city at first.
Yeah, the
'Cause if
community
you're putting
first, yeah.
so much emphasis on a presidential election and not on your city officials, you're messing up America right along with whoever you want to put.
that's why I
really
say
quick-
why I
yeah.
say the educational systems
Well,
failed us
really
because
quick-
we don't learn
Yes.
this in school.
Well, really quick,
Oh, no.
to your point, Ariel, if people that were paying attention, everybody's getting excited. Even if Biden and Kamala Harris take the presidency, they're going to have a lame duck session because everybody didn't even bother looking at down ballot. They just wanted to vote for Biden just to get rid of Trump if they actually did voted. But now what you're ended up seeing is that Republicans have gained 12 seats in the House.
Right.
And they've
Yes.
retained their majority. So which means in 2022, you could actually see the Republicans taking the Senate and the House and then potentially the presidency in 2024. So a lot of people don't pay attention to, they just, the big names. It's like, no, you have to pay attention to the smaller
Yeah.
offices.
Yeah.
The
That's
presidential
where the real
vote for
power
me
is at.
was my last
Right.
vote. It's the first vote on the ballot that you do, but
Yeah.
it was my last vote because honestly, I had to really vote for like what my city things happen, and a lot of Democratic measures are pushing like, this will cost this much to help these people, and I'm done with paying costs to help anybody right now.
Yeah.
Can we get a flow at a point?
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean that maybe in like 4 years we could be back at that point or not, but people have to learn to fluctuate. And honestly, like the empathic like part that people could group Democrats in, like, oh, they always want to help somebody and that's why they spend all this money. Like, that's great. Yes, it's great. But there's some times where there needs to be a balance of, we need to cut spending here so we could like help where we're at, stabilize. And then what overflows could help everybody else.
But, you know, it's
and that's why I say city and county things are so much more important.
Yeah, but that's a double-edged sword there, because people become dependent on social work and food stamps and all these social and sometimes it's they don't want to get out of that because they got it good. They got housing, they got free food, they got, you know, unemployment or whatever. So but we got to make
unpopular opinion. I like people who work for their own.
Well, see, that's the thing. That's where I'm trying to get at. If we need to stop giving people this and start teaching them
an incentive,
work skills. It's kind of like it's like that old saying, you know, like I could give you a fish or teach you to fish. You know what I'm saying?
Well, and on that, we're coming to the end of this segment, but I wanted to end with this because we were talking about this. I don't believe that the answer to Democrats is republicanism.
Right.
I believe the answer for California is classical liberalism. In all reality, in my opinion, Donald Trump has pulled the Republican Party left and into liberalism. And I just wish more people would understand that instead of looking at things from a left and right thing or a Republican and Democrat thing. But anyways, that's besides the point. Ariel, that was great. Great, insightful.
You're awesome, Ariel.
That was awesome.
Thank you
for that. So we're gonna come right back. I'm gonna try to get a paranormal story out of Ariel, so we can continue our conversation with Ariel here on the Apocalypse Project podcast.